All right, so right now I want to talk about pain. Physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, and specifically how pain is a gateway to God. Pain is a gateway to goodness. Pain force us to open to discomfort rather than pushing it away, rather than disconnecting, dissociating, trying to change. At a certain degree, we are forced to open to painful experiences. And I found this to be a direct avenue to what you could call God, to what you could call goodness. Um, it's hard to give it one word: acceptance, okayness, even in the midst of deep discomfort. And this can be, again, physical discomfort. You're running a marathon, you're running up mountains. This can be f- mental discomfort, unpleasant thoughts, um, self deprecating thoughts, even. Um, Emotional discomfort, feeling just awful, gross, less than, like a failure, betrayed, lonely. It is completely possible through understanding how to develop a skillful relationship to discomfort or pain, um, so that we are free from it, not just free from it, so that that pain is an avenue to God, to goodness, to deep peace, deep okayness. And this is counter to, I think, what a lot of people think, you know, heaven on earth would be like, or what God would be like. We think it would be pleasant all the time. That's a extension of a hedonistic conditioning, actually. Why? What does good mean? How does that even happen? We live in a dualistic experience. You can't have pleasant without unpleasant. Like you can't have day without night, life without death. Where there's one, there's another. Um, Interestingly, quick sidetrack. In Buddhism, they talk about the eight worldly winds, which we all get blown around by. And if I can remember, it's gain and loss, praise and blame, um, success and failure, and one more that I'm forgetting. But basically, it's duality. You flow between the two. When there is success, when I say that there is a possibility to be successful, I am unconsciously implying there's also a possibility of not being successful. If we get rid of these designations, success or no success, the duality falls apart and we don't even experience a thing called success or lack thereof. So, yeah. So, again, bringing us back to the kind of hedonistic mentality that we've been conditioned to live by. Again, hedonism being the attempt to maximize pleasure and minimize discomfort. And understanding duality, you realize how silly that is. Again, you cannot have one without the other. What are we doing here? Um, and I think that kind of hedonistic mentality leads to a lot of greed, um, fear, fear of discomfort, because we've been pushing it away so long that we have such a shitty relationship to discomfort. And that shitty relationship makes it so much worse when I feel this hurts a little bit and something must be wrong with me. Something must be wrong with the world. Something must be wrong. Maybe I need more meds. Maybe I need XYZ. Slow down. There's nothing wrong with feeling discomfort. There's nothing wrong with pain, even. It's a part of life. And when we can break this spell of hedonistic expectation, we can sink in to the kingdom of God right here and now. And I say that as a knowing. It's right here when we're not resisting it and saying, hey, could you please be some other way? Yeah, that'd be great. I really don't want to feel this pain, even though if you look back at painful experiences in your life, I am absolutely sure you will be able to find the silver lining in them. They push you to become someone new, to try new things, to meet new people, to grow. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is not the enemy. Discomfort is not the enemy. Our own minds and our relationship to experience coming through us to us, and the communication from something you could call God, spirit, life, the cosmos. It's pushing you, it's forming you, it's chiseling you. Let it. It's like almost like an adolescent kind of angsty attitude to say, oh, yeah, you're going to push me like that? Well, fuck you. I'm just going to sit and marinate in depression. Actually, though, so I want to go back to pain as a gateway to God and what I mean when I say that. So if you've ever pushed yourself heavily, physically, um, or in the sauna, I mean, that's physically, but mentally, emotionally, you ever sacrifice something for another person, time, energy, really being of service to others. When you encounter pain, you have a choice. And that choice is close down or open up. When I say close down, that involves resistance, saying, I don't like this pain. Ugh. And interestingly, that resistance makes it worse. The body gets tight, the mind and the psyche also get tight. So when we experience pain, again, we have the choice to close down or open up. And if we open up, we're not resisting that painful, uncomfortable experience as much. There's obviously a spectrum here as far as the our ability to open in more subtle ways, because that kind of contraction of the psyche and the body can be very subtle. But to whatever degree we can open to discomfort, let it be there, the suffering will drain out of that experience, and we're left with actually just raw pain, which is not unbearable. And actually, me personally, when I'm really pushing my body, um, or when I'm really in the thick of it mentally, just stuck in some shit, if I can open, there's a smile on my face. I'm like, damn, this is it. I'm in it right now. Again, physically, when I'm opening to it, I'm like, damn, this is raw. I'm fucking running up a mountain. Or again, mentally, when I'm just in a weird place, in the shit, can be like, oh wow. Again, step back a little bit, open. Here we are, in the shit. And again, it doesn't change the pain at one level, but another level, it totally does. It completely changes actually what that pain is. Um, through not just lowering the resistance, but recognizing maybe the beauty, maybe the inherent value in that pain as a means of, again, chiseling you to be something new, to shed something that's not serving you, to move in a certain direction that you're being asked to go into by life, the cosmos, creation, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And again, so when we learn to open to pain, you're opening to goodness. You're also recognizing the power of your own imagination to build relationship, skillful relationships or unskillful relationships. So when we recognize, oh, my mind is creating my experience of this pain, and it really is, in a deep way, actually, in meditation, Shinzen Young, Robert Bea, certain Buddhist meditation teachers talk about when you actually open completely, when you stop resisting, that thing that you were resisting also fades. So this is, again, radical, deep meditative experience. But this is possible. Again, there's subtleties of resistance. But when you resist, you create something to resist. And when there is no resistance present, that thing that you're resisting, i.e., the pain, the discomfort, also completely fades out of perception, aka it's not there. So that's the degree that we're talking about of malleability of perception through relationship, through our own minds. So And again, the why I say pain is an avenue to goodness is because it forces you to open. And when I say force, I mean, like, yeah, you can resist it. If you're in a really uncomfortable play, like, again, you're running a marathon, you either quit or you keep going. If you keep going, it's going to hurt. And if you choose to keep going and it's going to hurt, it's best that you're almost, again, forced to open, because you're just like, am I gonna make my life absolute hell right now or not? And the choice is yours. It really is. And although we might be like, yeah, well, the choice is how come I can't just stop resisting? Right. So this is where we need to understand the subtleties of these mechanisms of mind. They might not be accessible off the surface, surface level of mind. This is where meditation, slowing down the mind, is, I mean, absolutely essential, actually, so that we can actually just become aware of the more, again, subtle layers of resistance. Where am I resisting? What am I resisting? And how do I open, stop resisting? Like, how do I actually do that? And I mean, I can give some pointers here, actually. I wanted this talk to be more conceptual, but um, yeah, so working with pain. When I say open to it, you can start conceptually to change the way that you're seeing it. As in, what is this pain? What is my story about it? Let's pick some, mental, emotional pain. What's my story that's causing this? Can I see it a different way? Can I see this as a blessing? Can I maybe incorporate a view that acknowledges spirit, acknowledges the divine? I'm like, maybe saying, hey, yeah, this hurts. I don't know why this is happening, but I understand that it's a part of your will. And again, insert God, insert creation, cosmos, universe, whatever suits you. But can we trust? And that will start to actually change the experience, because what's going on there is you're lowering the resistance. You're becoming curious. You're opening. Um, Another way that we can work with pain is actually to go directly into it. And then again, this is a means of opening, becoming curious, because it will change what the pain is at the level of perception. So this is sort of like a somatic experiencing lens where you feel pain, and this can be emotional. Your heart's broken, really going into that pain in your chest that comes with a broken heart. And again, letting it be there and becoming curious, like, what is the flavor of this pain? What does it feel like? Is it moving? Is it static? Is it dynamic? Are there other sensations in the body? And if that's too overwhelming, what you can do is also put awareness on a part of your body that is not contracted and in pain, like the earlobes, or it could be the tip of the nose, could be the big toe. Just, again, placing awareness on a part of the body that is not tight. Because, for instance, we'll again use the example of a broken heart. When you do feel that tightness that comes with a broken heart, emotionally speaking, um, awareness tends to contract around that sensation because it's painful. It's actually more obvious. But if we consciously take awareness and focus it on a part of the body that is not experiencing that pain, actually, interestingly, that pain starts to fade. So it's sort of like a feedback loop, actually. The more pain we feel, the more we contract around it, and then it hurts more at the level of perception. So, I mean, that's a couple tools to work with pain. But also, I think the biggest thing here that I'm trying to get across is that pain isn't even something to escape. It's not something to run from. It's not something you even can run from. Um, I mean, you could, and there's ways to work with it. And I think at a very deep level, a lot of mental, emotional, spiritual pain comes from stories and narratives. We fill the void. with stories and believe them objectively. And then we're fucked. We're fucked. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like wherever there is any solidified belief, solidified meaning this is objectively how things are, I am, the world is, spirit works. Any story like that that is so tight is gonna hurt, just by nature of the tightness of the story. Actually, let it go. We don't need to hold that tightly to anything, especially the stories we make in our own head, which I mean can't be separated from anything we experience actually. So I want to say, yeah, at one level, when we're letting go of all the stories and seeing how malleable and workable they are, fear also starts to dissolve, because where did the fear come from? It's all these empty stories. Even the story of me, a being that could die. Yes, there's a body, there's a mind, but there's no self here. There's no Ben. There's the story. Is there a Ben beyond a story? No, there never could be. and but okay, just to take it full circle, we could also say that um the story that there is no Ben is also empty. So it is literally anything that you make it. And what allows for that is emptiness, a radical emptiness of anything here. So I say there is a self, there is at the level of perception, and I say there is no self, and there isn't at the level of perception. Again, it's empty, empty, empty. And just the recognition of that emptiness is freedom. It is wholeness. Who is lacking? What is lacking? What is afraid to die? Some empty story and narrative. Like, for real, this is what I'm talking about. The depth of freedom that is possible is almost incomprehensible to the normal, conditioned Western mind. I can say that with absolute confidence. And it's sad to see people trapped, because that's what it is. You're just trapped in a cage that you made, actually. I mean, I love riffing on this topic, but I do want to go back to pain as an avenue to God and goodness. And really, you could replace God and goodness with openness. Buddhist teacher, Andrew Holacek, he, amazing teacher. He's, in the Tibetan tradition, and he said that the entire spiritual path in any tradition, really, could be basically summed up to learning how to relax and open to what is coming through us and what is coming to us in life. Relax and open, nothing to it. All of the spiritual practices and meditation and like prayer helps us to do that. But the end goal is the openness, because that is the face of God. You're opening to what? The kingdom, heaven on earth. And heaven on earth hurts sometimes. And if we resist and push away, we separate ourselves. And when we connect with that pain, it transforms. It transforms into something that is actually not inherently, it is uncomfortable, but there's something very deeply right about it, because it's connected. We're with life. We're not pushing it away, wishing it was some other way. And that is a big part of real spirituality. Not floating off into woo-woo land, but staying here, grounded in the pain of existence. And maintaining that connection. Because that is God. When we wish it was some other way. Say, this is not enough. This is not okay for me. What isn't? God, heaven on earth isn't okay for you. Okay. Let's see how that pans out. And this makes me think of a couple things specifically from the Christian tradition. One is the crucifixion of Christ, which is, at a deep level, you could say it represents symbolically the goodness and the pain, torturous pain, crucifixion, betrayal, uh, wrongly accused, murdered. So the crucifixion of Christ, incredible myth, obviously, that has shaped our world. myth, story. Is it real or not? I don't know. In the way that it's recorded, but that's irrelevant at this point. I want to point to the archetypal expression of that myth, story, whatever it is. Crucifixion, that level of pain as a means of knowing God that intimately, not disconnecting, staying with it. And you could say that that is almost a purification of experience. And you could say there's karma going around. When I say karma, just, maybe waves of bullshit, aggression, violence, dis-ease that flows through the ether, and we get hit by these ripples. Someone's having a bad day because something happened to them, and then they give you the evil eye and say some gross shit to you, and then you have to hold that energy. So there's a purification that happens when, instead of trying to spew that, you could say, discomfort, that pain onto others, you actually hold it yourself. It stops with you. That is purification. When you can be present, not say, how do I fix this pain? How do I put it on somebody else? How do I avoid it? You stay with it and you let it purify. And at a deep level, again, this is something I cannot prove, but I really think when we understand reality, again, reality, what we experience, as completely empty, we could say that consciousness and perception are primary before even matter. So we have this idea that the material world is real, and consciousness kind of sprung out of matter. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Because really, consciousness is primary with anything. You cannot experience anything without being conscious of it, perceiving it. Where there is any experience, there is perception and consciousness. So I would actually say that matter is less primary than consciousness and perception. And when we recognize that, again, this is a theory I have, perhaps there is some sort of equal and opposite yin and yang going on here between, you could say, pleasure and pain, comfort and discomfort. And maybe this takes place on this planet Earth. Maybe this takes place in your own mind throughout lifetimes. Maybe this takes place in the whole cosmos, the universe, in a materialistic sense, or just in the collective mind of all beings. But maybe there's an equal amount of pain, equal amount of pleasure. Again, this is something that would be perhaps impossible to prove. But maybe someone like the Christ, who is able to take that much pain and purify it, stay with it. Because in order to purify, you have to stay with it. You can't dissociate. You can't try to fix it, throw it at anyone else. You just with that pain. Maybe that amount of purification that came through something like the crucifixion of Christ actually had a purifying effect on the collective consciousness of humanity, this planet. And my question is, what if we all learn to bear our cross, metaphorically speaking, hold that pain? Could we purify this place, again, from the inside out, not recognizing this world as purely material, recognizing that consciousness is primary? Being conscious of pain opens the door to more comfort and pleasure and freedom. So again, that's a hypothesis. We'll see where it goes. But I also want to talk about the idea of the rapture in Christian mythology. So this prediction, this prophecy that at the end of days, God will save those who are chosen, while the rest are forced to live in hell on earth. And I think that there's something beautiful in that we can actually see playing out in our world right now, which you could say is those who have learned how to open to the fear of these times, the pain of these times, the confusion, the corruption, the lack of fairness, uncertainty, the oppression of the human spirit in many ways, that we're learning about more and more. Can we open to that? not in a way that says it's okay, not becoming complacent, but can we open to it as a means of being with it, that kind of emotional pain. And those who can do that are the ones that are saved. And you see this duality of those who are opening and accepting in deeper and deeper ways, and those who are closing, contracting in deeper and deeper ways. And what happens when you close and contract is you make this place hell on earth for yourself, and the prophecy will be fulfilled. Those who have not been touched by God, have not yet opened to the pain of existence, which is God, will be forced to live in hell on earth at the level of their perception. Those who can open can dance on the ashes of wherever this world is going. And I say that literally. Literally, we can open to that depth where who knows? Who knows? I'm saying this June 17th. Who knows? Maybe the bombs start falling. People start really dying. Systems start collapsing. Can you open to that? I will say, yes, you can. Will you open to that? That's the test. That's the test of your faith in God, your faith in creation, your faith in the cosmos. Can I open to this pain and give it a place? Can I purify my own consciousness, thus purifying the world from the inside out? So, again, these prophetic Christian myths are potent, powerful. And regardless of what you think about those myths, I hope that it strikes a chord in you and that you recognize what's available to you, actually. And that you recognize that this is a high risk game that we're playing right now. High risk, high reward. Can we open? Can we open? Because let that be the test of your faith. Call it God, call it creation, call it the cosmos, call it spirit, call it the deepest part of you, your soul. Can you trust? Because if you can't, life's going to get harder. And I will say that with certainty. Things aren't over. The world is not purified to a certain degree. You could say that. We got crazy motherfuckers that hold an office right now, globally. And again, I do think pain purifies. And I think the collective human consciousness needs more pain. Maybe that's a hot take. The proof is in the pudding, though. So, yeah. And I guess I'll wrap up this talk. Went a little bit longer than I thought. 30 minutes was solid. But yeah, pain. It's not something to push away, no matter how much the psychotherapeutic would like to convince you that it is. That actually, in my opinion, can be detrimental, as in it makes you resist it more and fucks you up even more. So, not to say that the psychotherapeutic isn't useful, just we need to have a more expansive, zoomed out perspective on the psychotherapeutic. Say, hey, this is not the end all be all. This is not actually pinnacle of understanding about consciousness, experience, and the mind, i.e. Buddhism. They kind of went way deeper. But for some reason, the West decides to look the other way. I wonder why that is. My theory is because it involves the annihilation of self, other world, any sort of solidified narrative, and that's scary to solidified egos. So psychotherapy is like our best attempt to end suffering while still believing in the solidified separate ego, which doesn't actually exist. So you see how there's like a limitation on the psychotherapeutic, whereas Buddhism kind of dismantles all of that. It says, yeah, none of this shit is actually real. It's all empty. Your mind is creating it. I mean, your mind, the collective mind, the conditioned mind. But, I mean, it does come back to your mind. It is your experience. No matter how much conditioning you have, you can choose the stories. Yeah, pain. Pain is kind of good. The deeper we get into these spiritual teachings, the more you find the necessity of paradox. Not just the necessity, the deep, deep truth in paradox. I mean, let's look at pain. Pain makes you grow. It pushes you. You become better. You shed your old skin. Born again type shit. Whereas even comfort, too much of that, and you become stagnant. complacent, you start falling apart mentally, physically, emotionally. Do you even want to stagnate? Probably not. So guess what? Life's gonna hurt. It's gonna be uncomfortable. You have to do new things, try new stuff, do things you don't want to do. So again, it's kind of a paradox. Pain is kind of good. Comfort's kind of not that good. I mean, obviously it's a balance. I can't reduce it to that, but yeah, deep paradox, deep truth. Like, the only reality is that there is no ultimate reality. The only ground is the ultimate absolute groundlessness of experience. The only true self is no fixed self, no fixed real you. Yeah, paradox. Pain is one of those paradoxes. So, yeah, if you watch this whole thing, congratulations. You made it. Cool. Thanks.